Welcome inside our Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Powered.
Wow, that's Joe. That's all.
Me training for the mile.
The mile training. That's the extent of it.
Training.
Yeah, that's all that we have
You know what I'm
up to
thinking
this
about buying
point.
one of those little walker things?
Have you seen all those commercials? All the Conference USA games, you have those little foot thing on.
I get to sit in my chair
like this.
Just do my little feet like that.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to
It
start
makes me
my
wonder
mile
when I'm
training.
watching those. They're like, who do they think is watching these midweek USA games? That they're all like the old person, like little foot pedals.
Callie Doan is somewhere not excited
Shaking
about
your
that.
head.
Okay, so on today's episode, it is jam-packed. First,
So
we
much
have
action.
David Pollack
Yes,
in
big time.
studio,
The house.
physically here. He's not
house.
calling in on his Zoom.
No.
He
It's not like
is
the-
here.
No, we flew him in.
We're going to talk a little faith, family, and football. So
Faith,
really
family,
excited
focus,
about
football,
that. We also, Joe has a new job on campus. He is in
whoa.
charge of Caden Salter's helmet on game day.
Yes.
So we'll break down that very close call win over Middle Tennessee. We'll look ahead to Western
Little too
Kentucky.
close of a call.
A little too, a little uncomfortable.
too
I'm getting a
close.
little, my heart rate in these games is going a little crazy. We'll talk about Quentin Cooley. The bowling ball strikes again. Brylan Green is the money man.
That really cheesed me off, by the way. I was going to get to that later in the podcast, but you know what I thought? The very first thought that went through my head is fourth down. We got to get a stop, right? And all you do is knock down the pass. The game's over, right? So the ball gets tipped, whatever happens, and Brian, just let the ball fall. Let it fall harmlessly.
Why has it gotta be about you,
harmlessly
Brylan?
to the ground.
Yeah, why has it
right?
gotta be about you?
And next thing you know, he intercepts the ball, and the first thought that went through my head was, oh, there's some more fantasy points for Emily Austin.
We will get to
It was selfish is what it was.
Flames
Yeah.
fantasy. We have a mailbag question and our what is it? Snell bowl
The
game
Snell
or
scoring
Snell
system.
scoring system.
Yeah.
We really need to get a graphic going for that. But first, we start with before the game even really starts, Caden Salter rushing to the
I've never
sidelines.
seen anything like it.
Thurman Thomas.
You're right. We were looking before the show because I asked you, have you ever seen anything like this? For those that didn't see, and for those that were in the stadium that may not have known, which
I
was
didn't
a
know
lot of
about it
people.
until you told me something.
The TV broadcast had it perfect. They were already into their how every broadcast does this. The starting quarterback to take the field, they've got the shot of him, and they're going into their. There's a look at Caden Salter,
And he's not on the field.
and he's like
Flames.
starting to walk on the field. Then you see him take his helmet off and be like, and then he just runs.
The look of
Bangs
fear.
into one kid who's just standing there like, what did I do? Throws his helmet away. Somebody else throws him another helmet. He puts it on.
Was that his helmet?
That was his helmet.
If you're watching on
Yeah.
YouTube, I will drop the footage right here so you can see
And he
all
runs
of what
back
Matt's
out,
saying.
and by that point, the play clock is winding down. He's got to hurry.
timeout.
And then Caden did actually a really good job of explaining. He's like, I was supposed to motion the guy. I couldn't let him get to the spot he was supposed to get because we were out of time. And then that impacted the way that they were covering us. And then I threw the interception. So, not ideal.
No.
I've never seen that
Never
before.
seen it.
We talked about the Thurman Thomas in the
Thurman
Super
Thomas,
Bowl
the Super
couldn't
Bowl.
find his helmet and didn't start the game
Didn't start
because
the
someone had
game.
moved his helmet.
That's right.
In this case, he's the quarterback. You had to have him out there.
Oh, my
As I'm
gosh.
watching on TV and watching him run out there, I'm just like, man, I hope this is just a turn and hand to Cooley. I hope the first play is just like a run. It was not.
It was not.
And-
Joe, what
it was
should he have done in that situation,
Well,
knowing what you know now?
Well, either one, just take it on the chin and call timeout.
Yeah.
Because you're in a bad situation. Number two is, okay, this has gone crazy. I'm not going to do anything stupid. Throw it to the cheerleader. Right? So, I mean, probably throw it to the cheerleader probably was the best option.
Right,
Yeah.
man. Well, do you think with the situation that unfolded with Middle Tennessee, scoring within 90 seconds of the game even starting, do you think this gave the Blue Raiders a little bit of hope? How much did this
For
change
sure.
the game?
I mean, every time you go up against a team that Liberty was heavily favored, and Middle Tennessee, they've got some athletes,
Yeah,
so
they do.
don't
Right.
knock them. But the last thing you want to do is give them hope early. And within one play, you've done that. Middle Tennessee, they were kind of reeling. I'll let folks at home Google what all happened in their program just 48 hours before they got to Liberty. But talking to some people around their staff, they were like, whew, it has been crazy.
Right.
And so you think, okay, where are their heads coming into this one? Maybe we jump on them early. And, well, we did the exact opposite. You gave them life, you gave them juice, you gave them energy, and then all of a sudden you're locked in a dogfight because they're saying, man, we can come here and win this,
Right. But Liberty responded. So did you want to say something?
Yeah, the thing that was even more worse, hey, an interception happens.
Yeah.
Right? First play, interception happens. Guess what? That's football. It happens, right? The part that was more alarming to me when I was like, oh, this may not be very good, was once quick change. Defense always practices quick change.
Yep.
Okay, we're sitting in the bench, drink. Oh, intercept, turn, quick change. We're back on the field, right? You got to know how to respond. How easily they got into the end zone. It was either 2 or 3 plays, but it was like, well, that was really easy. And so when I was like, wait, are we ready to play here defensively? And that obviously showed its way further along in the game.
Yeah, with the back and forth battle, I would say that the defense just didn't look like itself. You know, it just seemed like they were just, I don't know if the energy level was down or, Coach Chadwell said after the game that it wasn't a great week of practice. So I don't know if that, when you don't practice well, that does translate to game day. But do you think defensively those 3 quarters, we saw a different team? I mean, of course, Flames quarter.
Well, it was a little bit like, and also there was some undisciplined play.
Right.
And like you had the Kobe Singleton pass interference, then he punches the kid in the face on the sideline to get another 15. Just stuff like that you're like, man, you're not helping yourself out any right now. And then even going back, we talk about the athletes, maybe we were a little surprised by some of those athletes from Middle Tennessee because there were some bad angles being taken by Liberty defense. Like that little bubble screen or whatever you want to call it to the right side, the guy just took it 75 yards. You're looking at the safety taking awful angle, and he gets beat for that 75-yard touchdown. So there's just some of that where it's just like, man, it was as frustrating a game, I think, as we've had defensively, and you hope that's just something that, for whatever reason, they're able to get out of their system, and it's not a sign of like, uh-oh, we've got some issues here.
Right. And I mean, some missed tackles that it was just very uncharacteristic.
It's, obviously everything starts up front, right? Yeah. And you could tell very early on, like when you play defensive line, a good defensive line coach telling you to do what? You have an offensive lineman who's blocking you. Okay, when he's trying to move you a certain direction, right? So your job is, what bad defensive linemen do is they get moved that direction, then they try to go around the block to get back, right? That's bad. It's the least path of resistance. So your job is to engage, and he's moving me here. I want to fight pressure back away to where he's trying to move me, right? And so when you started watching that game, what I saw a lot of was, okay, I got hit. He's moving me here. Okay, I'm going to take the least path of resistance. So there wasn't that fight that was there early on. So you saw them being able to run the ball. And then on top of that, you started talking about the perimeter tackling. Whereas, are you really, what you teach defensive backs is the second somebody catches the ball, you got to close the gap as fast as you can. Right? Close the gap of the space as fast as you can. That's the whole idea of get the ball in space to your athletes. You want to close that as fast as you can and then get them on the ground. They weren't closing the gap.
No.
And then when you don't close the gap and you have good athletes.
I think that was even that first touchdown.
Yeah.
That is one thing the analyst said during the game. It may have been a Corey Jones. He's like, he just catches it there in the flat. You're on the 3-yard line.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
You got to attack that. And it was kind of just sitting back.
Yeah, so there was just that just lackadaisicalness. It was so, the good side of it, though, was when it came down to crunch time.
I was going to say, all of that being said,
you escaped.
The defense saved the day, saved the game once again.
Joe, 7 games played. 7 games.
Yeah.
And Liberty has given up 6 fourth quarter points.
That's insane. That's incredible.
insane.
It is the Flames quarter.
And this insane part of the Flames quarter for that thing was they were getting gashed. So it's like, okay, I said to somebody, I can't remember, I said to somebody, it's like, you're going to have to score in the 40s, high 40s to win this football game. Yeah. That's what it's turned into. But they were getting gashed. And then in that fourth quarter started, it was like they started making all the plays you have to make. That you have to make. And sometimes, guess what? They're college football kids, right? They're 18 to 22 years old. You're going to have some of this. Like, it's part of the deal. What the lesson learned is, okay, at what point do you decide that you're going to battle through it and still find a way to win the game? So that's the positive. The fourth quarter is 100% the positive takeaway defensively. It shows a ton about their conditioning, for one. Yeah. And then the second thing that it shows is their character. Their character say, like, we've been bad. Put it behind us. Somebody's going to stop it. They stopped it and played great in the fourth quarter.
Another thing to mention is, with this change of scheduling, having these Tuesday games, while it's great to have the national publicity on TV and all of that, and you have like the week to prepare, it's still a little different, I think, for these guys. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but Brylan Green mentioned it after the game. He's like, it's just weird. Like, we're not playing in the NFL, like, because we have like class and stuff on Tuesdays, and you're just in a different routine. I think that I don't know how much that's affected it, or I don't know. Maybe they're getting complacent because you're 7-0. You could very easily be 4-3. You could very easily be 4-3 right now. So I don't know if they're getting to a point where their heads are getting a little big and they just feel like they can sit back.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it's that.
Yeah, I think throughout a season, you're going to have games like this.
Yeah.
But to Joe's point, whereas a lot of teams, it results in a loss.
Correct.
You do credit them for making some plays, finding a way. And that's what great teams do. Even when they don't have their A game, they do enough to find a way and just tough it out, and somebody steps up. And they did down the stretch. Now, Jamie Chadwell said, awful week of practice. It showed up. Hopefully, that is kind of a like, hey guys, a little bit of a wake-up call. Like, what we do here during the week,
proves a point.
that matters. That matters.
Yeah.
And I hope and I think you're going to see a different looking Liberty team in this next contest against Western Kentucky than you saw. And on top of that, and I don't know how much, that is your classic trap game.
Yeah.
Right? If
100%.
we're gonna like, that is.
Not just the team, but
Wait, Western Kentucky or Middle Tennessee?
Middle Tennessee was the
Right,
classic
right,
trap game.
right.
And it's not just the team, right? Middle Tennessee, but it's the third game, and was it 18 days? Is that what it was? I can't remember the amount. What days it was, but it was a short week. It was a Thursday, Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday. So whatever that adds up to be. It was the last game of that span.
Yeah.
And so it had those fingerprints all over it of being that game where it could get a little dicey.
But,
and it did.
Chadwell said also, like, Middle Tennessee, you got to give them credit because not only do they have athletes and came to play, but when you look at some of their games and their record is not who they were and who they
play
they
Alabama,
are.
Mizzou.
So, yeah.
They were good offensively,
Yeah.
really good. Like, I didn't realize the Justin Olson kid until he finally hit me. He was the transfer from North Carolina.
Right,
So I remember watching him play it. UNC's a good player. And so they had him. And then the little guy, was it Pritchett? Was that his name?
Yeah, Metcalf.
Metcalf. That guy. That dude could play.
Yeah.
Oh, he could roll. So they had athletes and the quarterback was good. Where their problem was.
I mean, he got the ball out so quick.
Oh, my God.
too.
He was good. Where their problem was, and I think I texted him out of this earlier, I said, we're going to run for 500 yards.
Yeah.
Fell 99 yards short of that, but their D-line. The coach said when you interviewed the guy coming off the bus, he was like, yeah, we're beat up on the D-line.
Yeah.
And like, you got to stop the rush. Yeah, it's going to be tough, basically is what he said to you. And so.
And then Matt relayed that information to Coach Chadwell.
Yeah, right. Because Coach Chadwell was not planning to run the ball until I told him. But isn't that such a luxury, though? Because of this offense and because of a Quentin Cooley and Caden Salter's mobility, that you can rely on. We can just grind a game out.
Yeah.
Right.
We can just get physical and we can grind it out and you run for 400 yards.
400 yards, that's a lot of yards.
And like you just wear them down.
Yeah.
And we are totally comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
You don't have to rely on your quarterback just being dialed in every single night because you're like, hey, if you can hit 2 or 3 big plays down the field, the rest will take care of itself. With the offensive line, Quentin Cooley, we're going to get our yards.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. I just thought of this.
Yes, it was a new high for my Flames fantasy.
No, that's not.
Okay,
Oh,
here's
sorry.
what I want clarification on. When was it Billy Coolhan Lucas?
Yeah.
It looked like he fumbled.
It did.
And then they
When he took a
reviewed
shot
it.
to the ear.
They reviewed it, and I saw it on the big screen, and I was like, well, that's a fumble.
Yeah.
And they didn't call it a fumble? What was the deal there?
Was that an illegal hit?
No. Was it fumble or no fumble? Like, I didn't see the TV. I wasn't watching on TV.
I was surprised by that.
I was surprised by that.
Was it like,
I was surprised.
it was a fumble, wasn't
I mean,
it?
it sure looked like it.
like a
That ball was
fumble.
definitely moving.
Yeah, I was like, what the?
And the broadcaster said the same thing. They were shocked. So that was definitely a break.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a huge
Definitely a
break.
break.
Huge
That was a break.
Because they just fumbled right before that. Cooley fumbled right before that.
That was a break. And then the penalty in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and
game
when the
changer.
play ended, it was 4th down, and Duke comes up and shoves C.J. Daniels.
Third down stop.
Like-
They got one of their first third down stops.
That was game-changing.
Who was
scored.
that?
That's when they
Thomas,
hit-
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then they hit
that
C.J.
was-
Daniels and touchdown.
Yep. That was
Yeah.
game-changing.
That was huge.
That was a game-changing moment. And then special teams issues.
Shaky.
Let's talk about some more game-changing moments because There was a Max Morgan 13-yard punt. I was shaking in my boots at this point.
He's been good this year.
He's been good.
I'll say Morgan he has had some really good weeks. He was special teams player of the week in Conference USA.
Horrible bounce.
But that just took a bad bounce. Like he basically almost was able to cover it himself. But
yeah.
That was I think we should have a segment called the Alcova Mortgage Game-Changing Play of the Day.
You sponsor the whole podcast. Why do you, how many things within the things are you going to sponsor? Because
So the Alcova Mortgage Game-Changing Play of the Day was when Max Morgan had the 13-yard punt. I think they bought like the 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, like this thing's going sideways fast. And Preston Hodge.
Yep.
They tried to throw the corner right. They had just beaten in the third quarter to Metcalf, touchdown. They come back, run the same thing. Preston Hodge couldn't have played that any better.
Oh,
hip to hip, baby. Yeah. Hip to hip. You always run hip. Eyes to hip to hip, turn in, boom, hands up, pick.
My
that
friend
right
Shakira,
there, because I was
hips
like,
don't lie.
The hips don't lie.
Hips don't lie.
The hips don't lie. And I was a little surprised they did that shot again. I think Middle Tennessee should have hit him with that little bump, make him tap, do what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they took the shot and they picked up. But Preston Hodge, Alcova Mortgage, game-changing play of the day.
I think it was funny because on the broadcast they kept saying, I can't believe they keep throwing it with Hodge. Wait.
Yeah, he kept saying, why would you
throw it with
Preston?
to
You
Hodge?
can't keep testing him.
And I'm like, no, you don't want to test Singleton. Like, did they have the wrong guy
But
here?
he stepped up.
Oh,
he stepped up huge.
Big. And then this whole defense did in the fourth quarter.
It's the
Brylan
Flames
Green.
Flames quarter.
Okay. What else do we need to cover about the game? That good? Are we good? Before we move
I
forward.
went down the sidelines in the fourth quarter because I wanted to feel what the vibe was like.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to go down the sidelines and see what the vibe's like.
Were you
right?
singing?
No, I wasn't singing anything. But I went down there and I was like, it wasn't a great vibe. You could tell the energy was like, usually the bench down, go like just.
You get them going.
Yeah.
Well, look at the first three quarters.
You were down there.
I just want to feel the vibe.
Sideline reporter Joe.
Sideline reporter. I mean, Emily gets the vibe. She's on the sidelines. You can tell, right? Am I not right? When you're down there, like, hey, this team is ready to go. They're ready to play.
Up. Hey, Coach Cranston, if you might have got a word I'd like to share with the team.
Yeah.
Boys, bring it in. Bring it in, boys. Like, who is this guy?
Actually,
is that the mortgage guy?
Is that mortgage guy that talks football?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I'm standing over there on the sidelines, right? And I look over and Kyle Krantz comes walking down and he looks at me and he says something to me. We're not gonna say what he said, but he says something to me. He was not happy.
I bet.
Yeah, he was
not.
He was not happy with the performance.
In the post-game press conference, he goes, "Jamie Chadwell came and got on us on this defense." He goes,
"Yeah,
he's never gotten on us like that before. I've never seen that before." He's like, "But we needed it.
Yeah, it was good.
We needed it."
Yeah.
Coming up, we have a great interview with David Pollock. He is a former Georgia linebacker. He was a three-time All-American, 2002 SEC Player of the Year, still holds a program record with 36 sacks. And he was inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame in 2020.
Georgia record, 36 sacks?
Still holds it today. You know, just come to me if you want. Actually, go to Matt Warner for all that information. So stick around for that. You know, this interview is so great. David Pollock might want to move here. And if he's looking to move to Lynchburg, I
see what she's doing? Joe didn't even see this coming.
He didn't even see it. He's
like,
blinded by light.
Why is Pollock moving here?
Yeah.
And then she sets it up.
Yeah. You
just roll it.
Surprise.
So while Matt looks up the email address or the website to go to, if you have been, if you're a Liberty alum or a current Liberty employee, Joe has a deal for you that involves not Brylan Green money, real money.
Yeah, it's not that Joker bag.
No,
it's not that Joker bag.
There's no jokes here.
We're talking about up to $5,000 lender credit towards your closing costs at closing. I'm getting one of them big checks too.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm getting a big check.
Oh, that's
take a picture at closing with the big check.
Yeah.
You just don't try
like
to
a
cash
Happy
it.
Gilmore.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Shoot him again.
I'm getting one of the big checks. It's on order. It's on order. So you have the big check. So yes, up to $5,000 closing cost credit. So look me up and go to
alumnicommunity.liberty.edu.
It's almost. We've become smooth. It was rough around the edges for a while.
It is. But we really
Everybody
are a
knows their
family.
role. They know their role.
I set it up. Joe gives you the meat, and then Matt. You know, it's great. So we'll continue to practice that because it's. But it is getting better. Okay, so we'll get to that interview in just a moment. We have. Mailbag still to get to, and after this interview, we have Flames Fantasy. We have bold predictions. But first, do we want to talk a little bit about the CUSA, or do we want to do it after the interview?
Let's go to Pollock first.
Let's go to Pollock.
The folks want to hear from Pollock.
All right, let's go to this interview with David Pollock. We have David Pollock in the house. You know, I really tried, like I do for the normal Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage,
Thank you
each and
very
every
much.
week to like produce it and actually, you know, have some sort of rundown. So I'm going over questions and stuff before because sometimes you just cannot trust Joe Yock.
Yeah.
So I go, Joe, can you just like tell me what questions you have, because I have like a little bit of a system and you know what we're doing, a rundown. And he's like, I have some Bruin in my head, and that is the scariest thing I have heard in a really.
So what's Bruin in that small little
Just stop it. You know, they're always worried about me doing something off the rails, whatever, and I've always, for the most part,
falling off the rails.
for the most part, minded my P's and Q's.
Doesn't it make it more fun though? Like I've worked with so many people that are scripted,
Yeah.
It is.
and it is
way more
hard.
fun,
It is hard to work with people.
We have
that
a good
scripted.
off story. We can't tell a story to tell you about our very first broadcast with Matt.
Football game.
It was a football game.
yes.
It's a
Football game.
classic.
Oh,
We'll
yes.
get that. That's not
Yeah,
for this.
that's
We'll
not
get
for,
to
that's
that.
not for this podcast.
But welcome to the mountain. First time to
Yes.
Lynchburg, or is this like a family vacation spot for you guys?
I've heard about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm actually friends with Hugh Freeze, so he bragged about this place so much. And then you visit and you see why. Oh my gosh, like this is gorgeous.
It's awesome.
And you have a relationship, you were saying, with Jamie Chadwell also. How far back do you guys go? How'd that,
A long
how'd that
time.
start?
Well, okay, so my son's 8th grade basketball coach played with Jamie in high school.
Okay.
So like I started watching Jamie at Coastal, and he does so many unique things. Like if you watch him, it's like triple option meets spread offense, and he's got so many cool gimmicks off it. And I was like, Todd Wells is actually he beat Jamie out for the starting job. Jamie broke his ankle first, but like so we. I mean, I
there's
got.
always some
you're going
excuse.
way back.
He broke his ankle in his sophomore year of high school, and Todd came over and actually he took over for. Hines Ward was the quarterback before that. Like this is gold.
Yeah.
So I knew Todd, and then I got to know Jamie. But there's a couple reasons why. Like Jamie's a big believer, and I'm a huge believer, and my faith is important to me. But Jamie also, like when I go across college football and I watch coaches, very few coaches promote fun. And I'm a high school football coach now, and that's my main thing. I'm like, how do we bring fun? How do we bring fun? Like this doesn't have to suck. Like listen. Football sucks anyways, okay? Like, I'm just saying, it's hard. Like,
Breaking news.
you beat the crap out of each other. Like it's and it's Groundhog's Day, and you're putting your pads on, you're taping my ankles, like. And you saw like some of the skits that Jamie would do, and Joey, whether it's Joey Chestnut coming in the locker room or WWE, and we're working on one now. Actually, I was just texting with Ric Flair. We got something brewing.
You got something brewing with
Not with Rick.
Okay.
We got something
Okay.
brewing that
Okay.
might be.
Oh, I
We might.
gotcha.
I'm just telling. I'm gonna put that. I'm not gonna tell any details.
How about that for a name drop,
But-
though? I was texting Ric Flair.
Yeah.
You just kind of casually move on
no
from that.
big
yeah.
deal.
Rick's
Ric Flair's got a Georgia Bulldog connection.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Man,
His granddaughter or something's
Yep.
on the track team or whatever.
Yeah, he's a big Georgia Bulldog supporter. Sometimes then he gets pissed and then he'll leave. And say,
Cheer for somebody else.
yeah, cheer for somebody
So
else.
a little bit of a different, college football season for you. How has it been? Are you watching a lot of college football, or just sitting on the couch with those loaded nachos? What's going on?
It's beautiful. It's glorious. First of all, like that's a very nice way of saying you got fired. Yes. So my mama keeps going like, stop saying that. I'm like, you got let go. I'm like, Mom, they told me not to come. Like, they told me to go home, and you can't come here. So whatever you want to say, Mama, like we can spin this however you want. It's been awesome. Like to be a normal fan and just sit on the couch. Like I work out in the morning, and then I sit my fat self on the couch and stuff my face all day long. And a couple weeks ago when we had the 6th ranked on race undefeated matchups, I didn't do a thing, and it was amazing. So kind of like. Listen, my son is a 9th grader, and he's playing high school football.
Timing.
My daughter's an 8th grader. I'm coaching her in basketball coming up. So, listen, I had a great job, and I love my job. And I'd still be doing it, to be clear. But, now when you're home and you realize how much you miss out on, it's really nice to be home, enjoying the heck out of it. Don't know if I honestly would tell you if you asked me, I'm not going back. It would have to be a perfect situation because I'm loving it. And
we have an opening here on the Flame Center podcast.
Right.
And loving coaching high school football. So I coach, North Oconee.
That's awesome.
The Titans. We're number 2 in the state of Georgia, so we're a
Tighten
good
up.
team.
Nice. How's the girls' basketball team looking?
Girls basketball team's solid, bro.
They're solid?
I've coached them since they were 3rd grade. My daughter's
they're
grade.
trained up right.
Oh, they're some dogs. You roll the ball out there, and we will full court press you the whole game and make your life miserable.
I love it. I love it.
I know
Well,
y'all
if you
wanna
want
do
to, incorporate the pack line defense, we can get you a meeting with Coach McKay. That's been successful.
I talked to him today.
Isn't he amazing?
Yes.
Yeah.
He gives
this
me
whole school, like in the facilities and I mean, this is silly. Like it's unbelievable.
It's different on the mountain. That's what they say for sure.
So what then are you doing with that time? Like I know, listening to your podcast, which by the way is awesome, the Family Goals podcast.
Boom,
you guys do a great job. Like I know you had mentioned when this all went down with ESPN, like, man, I think I want to go into speaking. I think that's kind of maybe a passion I want to pursue.
Yep.
How has that been going? Obviously, you're here at Liberty. What's been kind of the message you've been focusing in on, and is that kind of your next step?
I think so. It's just awesome to do, like, kind of make your own schedule, which is cool.
Yeah.
But like speaking here, I've spoken at FCA, and really being able to share my faith is most important to me. So it's been fun. It's really cool. Like one of the things the last couple years, so I've done College Game Day for so many years, and then doing it, like 2 years ago, I started coaching high school football with the team. In a small capacity. I started speaking because I didn't have that return on mission. And when I say that, I loved what I did. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm saying I didn't get in people's lives. I didn't see change. So now I get to get in these kids' lives and like help them and come beside them. And it's fun as crud. Like, so speaking, I get to go, like I spoke at a church in Trussville, Alabama with 1,000 kids and 102 got saved.
That's awesome.
And I'm like,
That's awesome.
or I could be on camera talking about football. So I think the greater mission, but I love sharing my faith. I love motivating people. I love trying to inspire people, trying to see what makes them tick. I get to go here and beat the crap out of people that think they're good at pickleball. But like still get to travel a little bit, but like it's kind of cool because I'm like, most of the time I'm just like, hey, can I bring my bride? Yeah. Okay, sweet. Like a date weekend, and awesome. So it's been cool. It's been different. And it's been strange, and I would be doing that, I would be doing game day still. But like when I think in life, when something like this happens, you do something for so long, 12, 13 years, and you just start riding a bike, and it gets easy. And so I think the art of the possible now comes in, and it's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? You know what I'm saying? Like where, and then with your kids, incorporating your kids, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know God's in control, and He's gonna direct us where He wants us to go. So all of it's been awesome. Anytime you have any kind of adversity, it's always, you look back and you're like, thank you. Like, I'm glad I got it.
See, Joe, you're going to get through this. There's blessings and brokenness. I've been trying to tell him that.
You're good enough. You're special.
By God.
And Emily, I'm going to tell you something now. People like you. We do that to her often.
It's
Just building the confidence.
Just build that confidence.
Okay, so you have your list of dudes. Caden Salter landed on your list of dudes. I think it was week 2.
Week 2.
Tell me what you know about Caden Salter. I know you're doing the family thing now, so I know you're not like digging in only on.
Well, let's just put it this way. So. Like, here's how we do the dudes, and my buddy Shane helps me with this. I wish we could get him on camera. He's here, but he hates.
Bring him on.
No. He hates that more than anything in this world.
Okay.
I'd love to yank him up
Shane
here.
helps you with the dudes?
Oh yeah. Well, we'll look at the best players in college football and look at the top performers. So. When you make that list, you're a pretty bad dude, whether it's Brock Bowers, Caleb Williams, like Drake May, whoever's going to make it. So you got to have a day. So when you have a day, you get props. So he deserved it. Like that's how we've done it. So we've done storylines of the week, just staying connected to college football because college football is amazing. Like football is amazing. And I've never had, like when I retired from the NFL or got forced into retirement with my neck, like football is so fun and so amazing. Like we had to have it as a part of our lives. So college football, I wish I could still watch it as a true fan and just chill. My brain doesn't work like I was talking to Jamie at this facility over there. I'm like, you just watch it for like, oh, that's a good tape. Oh, that would be an awesome tape. And you're like, yeah, well, who you showing it to, bud? Nobody cares. You don't work anymore.
You need like a little editor, social media editor.
I know, right?
Like,
but so we just try to find the best players and the best performers of the week, and he earned it.
Who are your teams right now? If you're,
14 playoff.
You're getting in there. Who's your sleeper coming through? Who's your teams? Where do you think this thing's going to go?
First of all, there's a lot of just kind of good but not great. And I don't like. I mean, Georgia does not. I don't look at Georgia and say they're great by any stretch. They had a run where they were dominant, but this year they're not dominant. Carson Beck's an animal. Captain America just got hurt. Brock Bowers. So that's a big deal. Michigan to me has looked complete. Like they've looked complete. They've been dominant. Both sides of the football. I don't see glaring weakness. They got the quarterback. They got great running backs. They know who they are. But I think the Pac-12, you look at Washington out west, like that's going to be really fun to watch. Like Penix can spin the crap out of that thing. And who comes out with their Oklahoma and Texas are going to play again. And Texas is probably going to win. Like, I mean, and that's going to be crazy to watch. But the Big Ten, Penn State, Ohio State. No, but I'll say this. I don't watch anybody and go, they're great.
Right.
And why? because of NIL, because of the transfer portal. Alabama used to have guys that sat there for 2 years and then they got their shine, and you're like, where the freak did he come from?
Yeah.
And you're like, and he's a first round pick. But you stayed there. Now it's like these people, you can't recruit 4 5-stars and 5 5-stars because they're going to transfer.
Right.
Like they're not playing right then.
Well, first of all, you're going to pay for them the first time.
Yeah.
And then they're going to sit there and they're going to be mad and they're going to be upset and they're going to leave. And you see so much. That was a great. Do you? But again, getting 5 stars like Jimbo's been able to do, and being able to do this is a totally different animal. And Kirby will tell you, Kirby Smart, who's the best coach in college football right now, you got to say, like when he finally learned how to do this, it wasn't the talent. He said, we finally learned that 1 + 1 is 3. And getting them away from football and getting in their lives, he was like, that's when we started maximizing. So I think it's going to be a lot of who can outscore who. A lot of great quarterbacks that are going to be in the mix with Penix Beck, with Caleb Williams, with Ewers, with Dylan. How about Gabriel? He was awesome.
Keep going.
What?
He's one you stay, Drake May.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, Drake May is phenomenal. Yeah. But they're not going to
do the Tar Heels have a shot? To sneak into the college football playoffs.
We're on a Liberty podcast.
We're talking college football.
I don't
We're
think
talking
so.
college football. You don't think so?
I don't think so.
With Tez Walker back?
Getting Tez though, you could tell that dude was special. We almost put him as a dude of the week this week. I mean, he coming back really quickly. But I'm not ready to put the Tar Heels in that conversation.
What needs to change about the transfer portal? Because, Jamie and a lot of coaches, really, Hugh did too. Like, you sit there and go through spring and you have this team and then everybody pieces out and you're just like, okay, well, I guess that was all for nothing.
And that's what stinks. I think it stinks like the roster poaching. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing. Here's what's funny not funny. Every coach or a lot of coaches whine about it.
But they're doing it.
But they ain't putting their name on it.
Right.
Like, let me hear you go, Texas is poaching my guy right here, and put your name on it, because then now you can be held accountable for your actions.
Right.
So until somebody really does that, I mean, because everybody's doing it to an extent, but like the NCAA dropped the ball big time with how they're going to manage this, and they just did a horrible job. Like, they needed to be windows to start. There needed to be rules to start with NIL. Name, image, and likeness pertaining to what you've done, not paying you to come to school.
Right.
Like now it's just capitalizing on a high school player and getting him to your university, as opposed to, hey, you earned it by being Brock Bowers as a freshman and being one of the best tight ends in the country. Yeah. You deserve everything you get. But people that haven't done anything and you're coming to the school, that wasn't the spirit of it. So I know everybody's really surprised because the NCAA is so good. Right.
Well, Nick Saban on Pat McAfee's show the other day was like, oh, that's all you needed was a jersey? You don't want any NIL money and stuff like that? It's funny when they're sitting there saying it, straight up, like, this is what's happening.
Is there a way to get it under control?
Yes, I think you can, but you got to get the genie back in the bottle, right? Like, you got to get the toothpaste back in the tube, which is really hard to do. You got to squeeze it and let it go back and force it with your toothbrush.
I'm not doing that.
You're not doing all that. You're gonna waste it. But I think it is. I think it's gonna be incredibly difficult. But it's always. By the way, it's always happened.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Newsflash. People have been getting paid for a long time.
Breaking news right here.
Right. All right. So the playoff is expanding to 12 teams. For a place like Liberty, that's huge, right? They see a path to the playoff. Do you like that expansion? What do you feel like that could mean for a Jamie Chadwell-led Liberty team?
I love the expansion because, A, I get more football. Yeah. If you get more football, it's a win.
You're all nothing wrong with
B,
that.
you get more fan bases involved, which is awesome. Like, the more fan bases that think they have a shot, the better. C, you get the best players who don't leave early. Like, they're not going, I'm sitting out. Like, you're going to get the best product you can get on the field. So I think that's all good. And then D, I would say, like, you've also now got a system in football where we're talking about parity. And now, how cool would it be to go into the playoffs and go, I see 6 teams that could win this.
Right.
Like, that would be dope. That would be fun, as opposed to we usually go, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, come on down, right? Like, and listen, the problem is when Georgia and Bama and Ohio State have their quarterback, like, they're still going to be there. And they're still going to beat everybody probably because they recruited at a better level. But we've seen more parity. And we've seen, so I would love to see how that works out now in a 12-team playoff, because a couple years ago, I'd have told you it won't matter. It will be the same exact teams in the finals. I don't know that I feel that way now because so many people now have had their rosters stretched, and then you look at teams that get hot late in the year. Yeah. Like, all of a sudden they're hot. Like, get them in the playoff, and now let's see what happens, because sometimes we've said that at the end of the year. They're playing so good, get them in. And I think we'll get more answers.
Kind of like that March Madness spirit that it
Which
brings
is
to
awesome.
college football, which is awesome. So looking back to your college days, do you think anyone will ever break your...
I didn't know you had this record.
Yeah.
Sack record?
Sack record, 36, I believe.
Yes, somebody will break it. All records are meant to be broken, but yeah, I mean, my single season sack record got broken because again, rules change. There's more games now too, by the way. Like you can, and you add championship games and
COVID years. You get
seven-
it.
yeah,
You get it.
Yeah, you get a T-shirt. You get a T-shirt. You get a Sam Hartman. What? He's 38. Okay. No, of course it will get broken, but I think. All records are made to be broken, but I don't even know who cares anyways. Nobody cares about that. You looked that up.
Well, we had a former lineman
you
here.
looked it up before I came. That's nobody else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't know that. crap.
Well, neither of them did, but they don't do any
didn't
kind
either.
of research around here. No, I'm kidding.
Well, he does for sure.
Well, we had a defensive lineman, no names here. It said that he was going to get 50 sacks in a
it didn't quite
season.
work
We're just like, okay, he transferred
Yeah.
because I don't even think he got 2.
So with your career being, injury sort of hurt you, obviously, and had ended your career. My daughter actually went to the University of Georgia on a track scholarship and then tore her Achilles tendon, transferred to North Carolina.
You want to show him the X-ray too?
And then it's just, please stop.
I love the banter we have right here.
Stop.
You gotta be a professional. Keep
This is
going.
a-
Yeah,
this
but
is
keep
a
going.
really
I'm not even
sensitive
gonna let it. I'm not. And so, anyways, and then she had to take a medical retirement, right?
Okay.
So I guess my question is, going through that injury, what to somebody who's like herself, who's getting ready to graduate, what advice, having your sports career end, and then it's like, okay, you're thrown out into the real world. What advice would you give to young people like that as they graduate from college?
It's the best thing that can happen to you. Like, get it now. I mean, I broke my neck at 20-ish, and to this day, I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband. Like, I'm way better. I'm a better friend. Like God is for us. And if we will realize that God is for us and that every situation works for good, like, everything will turn out like he wants it to turn out. But he can't take us through, he can't get us where we need to get to without taking us through that. Like, we don't experience, like when she experienced true adversity in life with her husband, like, she's not gonna run. Like, a lot of people run. A lot of people hanging up, like, let's get divorced because I can just start over. I can go get another one. Like, no, she's not gonna run. She knows how to handle adversity. I gotta rehab. I got to show up every day. Like, so I think those are invaluable lessons. Like, I wouldn't trade it a million years. Like, give me the broken neck because I learned about my wife. I learned about my friends. I learned about all these people that are in my life. So, like, everything happens for your benefit. And listen, does that mean we always love it? No, absolutely not. Like, it sucks and it's gonna hurt. But if you're not in a storm, one's coming. Like, at some point it's gonna come, right? Like, you live long enough. It ain't much better. Like, the longer you live, the wisdom is great. Everything else sucks. Like, more death, more wrinkles. Body ain't what it used to be.
I
You
knew he
can't
was
do
going to
what
point
you-
out the wrinkles. I
Why
already
did he look
said
at you
that
when he
already.
said
Yeah.
Why did he look at you when he said that? Hey, less hair follicles.
Yeah, right.
Less hair
Okay.
follicles.
All right.
It's
It's not just,
All right, bump the
we can about wrap this up. Yeah.
I think it's always for your good because you serve a God that's good and that's for you. But those things are going to happen that He allows to happen that will teach you something that you needed to learn.
Share your journey with Christ. Like, were you always a follower? Did you grow up, in the church?
No, so I never stepped foot in church until my senior year of high school.
Oh, really?
And I had two major things happen. One, my neighbor across the street invited me to a lock-in. And I was like, what's a lock-in? Yeah. He was like, you come to the
You're in
church
there
and
all
you
night.
play games all night. I was like, that's it? He was like, I was like, in.
Yeah, I can
Stay
do
up
that.
late, compete? Yes. Yeah. And I didn't know I was going to hear anything else, but obviously they give you a little background. But that was the first seed that I had. But then I had a teacher named Mark Watson. He was my physics teacher. And he had a Jesus sticker on his computer. I called him a Jesus freak. And he played Christian music in a public school. And this was before class, after class. But something was different about him. And I was like, man, this dude's straight. And I had a good knack of irritating people, as you can see. I'm really good at it.
It's a gift.
And I couldn't irritate him. And something was different about him. And so for outside reading for English, you had to pick 200 pages of a book. Well, I think part of it was to irritate Mr. Watson, but I was like, I want to do the Bible. And my English teacher said, no. She said, I can't meet with you. I said, Mr. Watson can meet with me. And so he sat down and met with me, and he took me through Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
cool.
Wow,
And
that's
he
amazing.
completely changed my journey. But again, and I tell people all the time, like, somebody planted a seed, and then somebody lived it. Like Mark Watson lived it. He didn't tell me. He never said a word about his faith, but he lived it in such a way that it was the biggest adversary for Christ, which is what we should do. Like you don't have to memorize scripture inside and out. Like if you want to memorize scripture, it's a great thing. You don't have to be able to say it's this chapter, it's this verse. But if you can live a life that's honoring of God and people go, that's different. Like that's tangible. And that's what he did for me. And then that started my faith journey. Like never been to church. My mom and daddy never been to church. Like we didn't do that. We played sports and completely changed our journey.
That's incredible.
It's wild. Did you ever think that, like in some ways you probably think like football was the platform, right? For you, like playing and then but like now it seems like football was just the vehicle maybe to get you to where like God really wanted you.
Oh,
like would you have ever thought that 5, 10, 15 years ago?
Well, I mean, I always thought like I was made to be a football player.
Yeah.
Like big butt, big legs, like ADD, energy all the time. Like I just thought I was like created to do that. And then once football got taken away, I was like, oh, this TV stuff's cool. Like I'm decent at this. And by the way, this how I got into broadcasting was yelling at Kirk Herbstreit on the television during the 2007 season. I'm like, I was in my halo, my neck brace. And I'm sitting there.
You're in the halo.
I'm in the halo.
Yeah.
They drill it in your skull.
Yeah.
Like, so those are my scars. Yeah, they drill it in your skull, and I'm yelling at the TV. And I called my agent, and I literally said, I was like, listen, if I can't play football again, which I knew there was a pretty good chance, I was like, I think I want to do the commentating thing. He was like, did you go to school for that? I said, no. He said, well, why? I said, I think I checked the boxes. Loud, opinionated, obnoxious. Like, I literally was like arguing with the television. And I was I can do that.
I can do that.
Like, and that's how I got started on broadcasting. But what I've learned is now I'm not a broadcaster. So, but what I have learned, like God has continued to do this and expand my platform. And that's the reason. Like he's expanding my platform so I can go speak to places and share his name. He's expanding my platform so I can tell people, how I've lived my life and why I live my life. And so, that's been fun, but it's definitely been twisty, and it's definitely been ups and downs and some things that you didn't enjoy. I mean, but you can always see his handprints through it, and you're like, there's the reason. Like if you look in your life, whoever's listening, like if you look for those, you can look at those moments and you can go, yep, I saw it. Like there it was. That was the reason. I'm not saying it makes it better, but you're like, that was the reason, and I needed that to get to there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true, so good. Okay, so we're gonna move a little bit from football to more into faith and family. If there was a newlywed, you've been with your bride almost 2 decades, you guys, what kind of advice would you give a newlywed?
I think
keep in mind she doesn't listen to any of the advice Joe and I give her.
Oh, really?
We give her plenty of advice.
Before you start, I mean, our newlywed here, I mean, she did capture Lynchburg's most available bachelor.
Okay.
I mean, she captured. He's a handsome guy.
What's his name? Do we know?
Oh,
his
Jason.
Jason.
Guess what his last name is? Cud.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I
Cud's
can.
an animal. You love this guy. He's hilarious.
So my last name, okay, my original last name was Seymour, viewers, not Austin.
Seymour Cud.
So Seymour Cud.
Yeah.
Like, what? Come on, God, we could, like, really?
And he's a little bit older and more mature than she is, right?
You're acting like, I did a story at a nursing home once, and no, I'm kidding.
Okay, so back to your question.
Yes, please. See how it gets off the
She
rails
needs
so
help.
quickly?
I'll see.
No,
even
we
though
are
you're not gonna
super
listen.
happy.
Yeah.
I just really.
Even though you're not going to listen, I'll go ahead and give it to him. Right.
One of the things that I learned throughout struggles with my bride that I wish I would have known is the only way I can put this. Like, we do the 5 love languages book, and you figure out what they are. Yeah. Well, what I didn't realize was the woman that I married at 19 isn't the woman that I married now at 30. Like, so you're going to change.
Kids change a few things, don't they?
Kids are going to change things. Like, but like, God is first, not your spouse. Your relationship with God comes first, and then their relationship with God has to come first. When kids come, your relationship with Him is first, not your kids. Like. Those are things that are critically important, but like as you grow and as you get older, like you got to realize that love language will change and you'll have to change. And so I like we did the 5 love languages like 5 years ago again, and it was completely different.
Really?
And I didn't know my wife.
Have you guys done this? The
Years
love
ago.
language? Yeah.
Years ago.
So I'm pouring into my
What's
wife.
up?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a clue.
He's like a
What's a
book.
love language? Pickleball.
She can barely speak this language. Yeah.
Babe, why are you mad at me that I spent all of our savings on the lights at the pickleball
park? But like, I mean, it's amazing.
That hit too close
She
to
literally,
home,
she's literally changed and her love language changed, and I'm pouring into the wrong bucket. Like
Right.
I'm pouring into this, and it's like, oh crud! Like I'm completely swinging and missing. So
That's
I can't
awesome.
wait to see you go.
I'm
and
gonna
have
get.
this
I'm gonna go to
conversation
Barnes
with
and
Jason.
Noble.
Yeah. Get Cub to go through that book with you.
Maybe you'll listen to
He's
him.
done it. All right, you guys got anything else?
No, that's great. Thank
That's
you.
great.
Wait,
You are so
I guess
fun.
last thing. What's the message at Convo? You're speaking at Convo tomorrow.
Oh,
Give
yeah.
us like a quick 30-second. What do you want to pour into these Liberty students?
I think first of all, this is cool because it's just a different group of kids.
Yeah.
Like you go to Athens, you're speaking to a different group of kids. So, I wasn't church like we just talked about. So I think my advice to them is definitely going to be, we're going to talk about like your friends, who you're hanging out with, because I think y'all would have probably agree like that's been the majority of it. Yeah. I think holy habits, like what holy habits are you creating? Like what intentional habits are you creating? Because your intentional habits are going to continue to build and grow as you get older. Yeah. And building them younger is way easier than building them later. And so I think teaching them how to build holy habits, teaching them how to be around the right people, and then how to handle adversity. Because obviously I've dealt with some of it, here recently and in the past, and just recently again. Like we've had a lot of it in our lives. It seems like lately. And how do we struggle? And how does that look? What does that look like? And how do we keep saying that God is for us? God is for. Like if you think about it, like how good would marriages be in this country if you took divorce off the table?
Yeah.
Like everybody would fight. We wouldn't be 50% divorced. You just take divorce off the table. Like you're not gonna take. Like what does the Bible say about marriage? Like what does the Bible say? Because we can get discipled by the world, or we can get discipled by the Bible. And if they can learn the Bible and start to put that in their hearts and let that be their guide, like your life is gonna be very prosperous. Your life is gonna be very successful, but you can't let the world do it. Because if the world does it, you'll be jacked up.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of influence on that with social media these
Bringing the
days.
heat.
Who's your college football champion this year?
Oh my gosh. So I picked Florida State before the season.
Really?
So I'll stick with it.
Wow.
Well, it's gonna
And
be
then
tough after
Super Bowl
UNC beats
champion.
in the ACC championship.
No.
Super Bowl champion.
Oh my gosh. Do you go with the Chiefs again?
No,
I think so.
Don't do it.
The
He's a
Dolphins
huge
would be
guy.
amazing because Tua is an
Tua
awesome dude.
is awesome.
But
Yeah.
I'll go with Philadelphia.
Okay. All right.
Even though they're struggling right
Jalen
now.
Hurts
Bounce
is.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, after last game. Yeah. All right. David Pollock,
Thank
I
you
know
so
you've
much.
had such
Yeah.
a busy schedule and you're
Yeah.
bouncing all around the mountain, so we really appreciate you
No,
stopping
yeah,
by and
absolutely.
being a part of this.
Appreciate it.
Great chatting with you.
Sorry, we got to put up with him. So who sponsors this thing?
I'm telling you what, this podcast, David Pollock,
Flames Central Podcast.
It is the Flames Central podcast, and it is powered by Alcova Mortgage. Give it to him.
Powered.
Flames Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Can you write it down for me real quick?
No, you got it.
Flames Central
Show him the mug. Show him the mug. Show him the mug.
Podcast.
Yeah, there it is.
Powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Bam! That's what I'm talking about.
See, defensive players aren't that dumb.
Big shout out to David Pollock. Thanks so
Awesome.
much for coming by.
Attaboy,
He will
Pollock.
be speaking at Convo tomorrow, so might need to sneak away to go to that.
What time's that at?
I don't know. What is
Dude,
that?
like 10
10:30?
What is Convo? 10:30?
10:30.
That's right.
Yeah.
We just,
Or maybe I'll go in the
we'll stream
control
it.
room,
Stream
start
it.
pushing some
Yeah,
buttons.
we'll stream it.
We'll stream it. All right, let's look ahead to a big
That's
game.
the one we've been waiting for.
We have had this
Matt
circled
Warner
on our
circled it.
calendar for a very, very long time.
Matt-
Liberty on the road at Western Kentucky. This could be a preview of the CUSA Championship game that will,
Here's the thing.
why is this such a big game,
All
though,
right,
Matt?
for
Why
Liberty,
is it such a big game?
If Liberty wins this game,
Yeah.
it will be, I don't know if it's 100% certain, I haven't broken it down to that length, but it would be very hard for Liberty not to host the Conference USA Championship
gonna happen.
game. You win this one, you're almost assured of hosting it.
Yeah.
Unless you just completely
It's almost
melt down.
mathematically impossible.
Because you would have the tiebreaker over Western Kentucky.
And New Mexico.
And they would have 2 losses.
Yeah.
And you already have the tiebreaker over New Mexico State, who has 1 loss.
Yeah.
So those 2 teams still have
Yeah.
to play each other later in the season. But you win this, you have tiebreakers over both. You basically are locking up.
And what does that mean for Flames fans? Tell them, Matt Warner.
I mean, it means you get to show up at Williams Stadium
Thank you.
for a conference champion.
Thank
First
you.
year in the
First ever.
conference, you get to host it. Like, this
Yeah.
is massive. This is
Yeah.
a massive game for the Flames.
Yeah, just in case you missed it, in week 8, those games are in the books, obviously. Liberty beating Middle Tennessee. Jacksonville State beat Western Kentucky 20-17.
Field goal at the buzzer.
At the buzzer.
The field
At the
kicker
buzzer.
slipped, landed on
Slipped.
his backside,
Lost his
still
turf.
kicked it through.
What Matt's saying is what I think is ridiculous is
Oh,
Jack
oh,
State
oh.
cannot play in a
Right,
conference
right.
championship game. Shout out to Todd Wetmore for sharing that information with me.
Todd the Truth.
Which I think is so dumb. Like, if you're going
yeah.
down, I think, yes, obviously, if you're moving from FBS to FCS, you might still have some, FBS players on your team. But if you're going up and you're, like, running the table, you should be able to play for a conference championship.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with Emily Austin.
Thank you guys for your support.
Because of that, this is, you talk about Liberty trying to perhaps secure home field for the championship.
Huge.
Western Kentucky now is just trying to find its way there.
Right,
Knowing that they still have
yeah.
New Mexico State out there.
Yep.
This is, obviously it's massive anyway. These were the top 2 teams picked in the conference at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
But now there's a little desperation there on their part because they dropped one they felt like they shouldn't have at Jacksonville State.
So you think there's more pressure in this situation on Western Kentucky?
I do feel like there's more pressure on Western Kentucky. But
if they lose this,
their backs are against the wall.
They have to beat New Mexico State to win that tiebreaker.
Yes.
Right.
And not slip up anywhere else.
And not slip up anywhere else.
Right.
Some other games from Wednesday night. My heart is with you, Sam Houston.
They just can't catch a break.
My heart is just broken for you.
I was watching that one last
because
night,
they lost to FIU in double overtime. How many heartbreakers can this program face in one season? They're this close. 33 to 27 in that one.
That FIU ran?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, they did the old.
Oh, I did. I did see that highlight. Yeah.
That's catching it.
Yeah.
And then New Mexico State moves to 3-1 in the conference with a win over UTEP 28-7. Coming up next week, obviously, Liberty at Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
New Mexico State at La Tech. Both of those happening on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Jack State at FIU. And then you have UTEP at Sam Houston. I believe in you, Sam Houston. You Bearcats, you go get them.
You know what? They're going to be fine.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
They're fine. That's a historically winning program.
All right, quickly on Western Kentucky, looking ahead.
Yeah,
Let's
what do
go.
we got?
So they allowed 484 yards to Jacksonville State. Now, Jacksonville State had their starting quarterback in this game who was knocked out against Liberty. Yeah, Zion, but they also racked up 262 on the ground. So they had some success running the football. That bodes well for Liberty, obviously. The scary part, and we've been saying it for weeks, Western Kentucky, their pass offense hasn't been as good, maybe, but 29th in the nation in pass offense. Austin Reed, 12th in the nation in passing yards. And here's the biggest stat of the game for me.
Let's go for the kicker.
Here's the biggest stat.
Not the kicker, the
Give
pass.
us the kicker.
Here's the biggest stat. Western Kentucky has allowed 4 sacks all season long.
That's it?
4 sacks. One of the best teams in the nation in terms of protecting the quarterback.
You know why I like that?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Pass the ball because we got guys who can catch the ball.
Well,
defensively,
there is some concern there,
Yeah, we have
especially with a quarterback the caliber
Guys, I'm
of
trying to be
Austin
positive.
Reed.
Yeah,
if you just let him sit in the pocket,
Whoa. Here's what I can't wrap my head around. You're throwing all these big time stats out.
Right.
Big stat guy. Stat guy.
Right.
Oh, look, we got a stat guy here. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. They scored 17 points against Jacksonville State. Where's all these stats? That bottom line is, baby, points on the board. Show me the points.
Yeah.
How in the world
That's
they
fair.
run those kind of numbers and they don't? There's 17 points.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
They must be bad in the red zone or something.
That's fair.
Get some red zone stats.
Get some
going,
red zone stats, Matt Warner.
You know,
Do
I'll dig a
something
little
around
deeper.
here.
I'll dig a little
Dig deeper.
I'll dig a little
Dig
Yeah.
deeper. Okay, so should we get to the Snell scoring system and some bold predictions looking ahead to this big matchup? Should we have a watch party, guys?
We need a watch party.
We need to have a watch party. What
Come
time
on.
is that actually? I don't.
7:30.
That's your bedtime.
Yeah,
7:30.
7:30 ESPNU. So maybe
it's on ESPN.
Aaron Murray.
Yeah. Snell's scoring
Our boy will be
system goes like this. Joe wins this week.
Yes.
Wow, so you're in the lead. Are we tied now? Or
Joe and Emily are tied, 3 wins apiece. I have 1.
I got to share my crowns, with somebody.
I picked the Liberty score exactly right, but I only had Middle Tennessee scoring 20. Joe had it much tighter, so that ended up being the difference. So now that, to be fair, that was
31-28.
Joe's podcast prediction. His pregame show prediction was different. But you know what? Well,
was it?
Yeah, it's fine, Joe. We've come to grips with what this. We've come to grips with what this is. So
I get 2 calls.
It's fine. So there you go.
Either one wins.
Snell scoring system. Although our friend Jeff Snell was a little upset that you kind of called out his scoring system.
I didn't
last
call
week.
out a scoring system. Did I?
He was like, he's questioning the scoring system. I was like, well, he'll probably like it this
Hey,
week.
let me look.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Now he's a fan.
Jeff, I'm a huge fan.
Which, by the way,
You're a man of
What
integrity.
is he in Idaho?
You're a man of character.
I got the email.
and I appreciate your hard
Well,
work.
2:30 would be
I got-
12:30 his time.
That's true. I got the email at
that's-
2:30 a.m. with the breakdown. So that's true. That's probably like
but
12:30.
still, I'm like not.
Yeah,
doing
I mean,
anything.
still, Joe. You know.
Jeff, the only time I question your scoring system is when I lose.
Right.
Yeah,
That's pretty much
exactly.
it. That's pretty much it.
Speaking of Joe losing, let's get to our
I
Flames
led right into
Fantasy
that
League.
one.
Hey, are you still playing?
No. I really believe.
Oh my gosh, you might have the worst team in
I'm
history
being
of
serious.
Flames
I'm being
Fantasy
serious
League.
about this. I just want you to be open about it. You don't do it now, but I just want you to be open about this because it would make
The Uno pass
It'd
hand.
make things so
No.
much fun. It would make things a lot of fun.
No.
We just shuffle up teams.
No.
You get to keep your points where they're at,
No.
and we do a team shuffle. Why is that a problem?
I will do that
Why is that a
scoring
problem?
system.
Why is it? You got a huge lead over me, right? You still get to keep your points. We just shuffle teams.
I'll say this.
That's fair.
This is
It'll make it
ridiculous.
funner.
Funner?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, now we're in grammar class.
You can take your pick of anyone that's not picked right now.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Well, okay, that's a courtesy.
Yeah.
That's the courtesy.
I mean,
that
All
we're
right, here's
giving.
how it went. Let's
All
break
right.
it down. This week, Joe had 23.9 points, led by Bentley Hanshaw. Emily had the best week she's ever had. She had six.
Treon silly dropped that
I know.
touchdown.
I know. I was,
Right.
I was
actually-
standing right there.
And he had that huge game that got called back.
Oh, then
on a
it-
hold.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
that
I felt
was
Oh,
tough.
no, that
terrible
was
for
the
him.
no Fred
Yeah, that was
penalty.
tough.
Yeah.
Emily had 66 points.
Wow.
Emily scored
It is
more by
unbelievable.
herself than Joe and I scored combined. I scored 32. Emily got 29 points from Quinn Cooley. His shoulder,
The hat trick.
the low.
The hat trick.
You know what hurts me? This is what hurts me. I feel like the San Diego Chargers when they picked Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Right? Is
Von Blue
no,
getting hurt
I'm not gonna
really.
yeah, so
Von Blue's
It
injury
really
hurt me. But I went back and forth and back and
Yeah.
forth in the first on the draft day. Do I take Cooley? Do I take Von Blue?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Joe, I have a question for
Injury
you.
derailed
If you
that.
could go back
Yes.
and let's just give him an average season, going back and Von Blue didn't get injured, would
Yeah.
you still have picked him first? No,
I mean, if I go back, no, I picked Cooley first just because he's scoring all
No,
these
not knowing
touchdowns.
that if
Yeah.
Blue wasn't injured and you don't know what numbers
I
he
mean,
could
that
pick up, you
definitely is
would
a game
still
changer if he's
He's
healthy. Yeah.
Definitely.
see.
Gaze.
So
Yeah. But
Let's switch the teams. It's not that hard.
No.
Make things
All
a
right,
little.
let's
we
get
ain't
to
doing it.
Mailbag.
Okay.
You guys are so
no,
lame.
wait. Bold predictions for
Oh,
Western
yes.
Kentucky. We never
Lame.
did that. Joe, do
Lame.
you have
A bold prediction.
a bold prediction?
Yeah, I do have a bold prediction.
go ahead.
Can we go?
yeah.
All right, I'll do the score first.
Okay.
Okay. So my bold prediction score is that I think the Liberty defense says I'm tired of the way that they're talking about us on the podcast.
Right.
And
They all listen.
I'm sure they all listen.
They have to.
right. And I'm sure the entire staff listens too.
Yeah.
On their ride
They
home,
should- I
they
hope.
should be.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I think the defense shows up.
Yeah.
And the Flames hold them to 14 points.
Wow.
And we walk away with this one. I'm going to go Liberty 30, Western Kentucky 14.
Wow.
It's going to be a dominating performance.
Do you have any
the
prediction
bold,
within that?
the prediction within that is I've got to do something in my fantasy league.
Yes, right.
And a guy who hasn't risen to the top yet. We heard preseason hype. Got injured.
Yeah.
Back in the mix now.
No, you would know where you're going here.
Kenny Charles. 3
Three
sacks.
sacks.
Whoa! And they've only allowed 4 all
Yeah,
season.
And he's a man on a mission.
I actually thought about that very same.
know you
pick.
did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. He's a man on a
Do
mission.
you want a little more time? I can.
She needs more time.
All right. I'm taking a tight one, and I got to be honest. Before this last week, I was fully prepared to pick Western Kentucky this week. I really was. I thought this could be a problem. But I think that Middle Tennessee game serves as a wake-up call for the Flames defense.
Yep.
I think they lock in. I think Western Kentucky has some doubt creeping in
Doubt
after
is
the
in
way
the
they've
air.
performed.
Yep.
The pressure's on them. I think Liberty wins a tight one, 27-24. And going against this goes against everything I believe in and everything I've said thus
Are you
far.
really ready to
and
go
I
here?
don't know if I believe this in my heart of hearts.
really ready to go
Liberty
here?
gets 4 sacks. They match the total Western Kentucky's given up all year. And Liberty gets it 27-24. Oh, by the way, Liberty has more interceptions, 15 right now, than they do sacks on the season, 14.
Wait.
incredible.
Liberty has
That's-
15 interceptions for the season already?
Bryland Green, baby.
It's
got
got to
5
be
of
number
them.
1 in the nation.
I think it is. Yeah.
I'm going to go Liberty winning 24-20. Another tight one. And then I'm going to go Caden Salter is going to rush for over 100 and
We went for 160 last game. So come on, do something bold.
Well, I'm saying defense is going to get 2 interceptions, and then Salter is going to rush for.
Come on, do something bold, Austin.
Be bold.
3 touchdowns.
Sorry.
3 TDs. And you say the final score is what?
24-20, because we're gonna Nick Brown. Come at me. Well, no, I'm married, but you know.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay.
All right. Got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, Snell, we'll make sure that you are locked in.
track.
Send that email, keep track for us. We'll wrap things up with the mailbag.
All right, quick mailbag. One question that we've touched on already from our buddy Charlie says, thank you, Joe. He said, how does this game look different if Caden Salter puts on the right helmet? And I think we've touched on that. It may well have looked a lot different. This comes to us from David, longtime listener, first-time writer.
David.
That's right.
Welcome to the show.
He thinks,
Send that guy a mug.
yeah, he wants to know, who do we think makes the championship game, assuming Liberty does? Do you think it's going to be Western Kentucky or New Mexico State? And
We
he
haven't
asks,
touched on that,
and he asks, who would you rather see Liberty play?
Well, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen them
Right.
play Western Kentucky yet, and we've seen them play New Mexico State.
Let's answer that next week.
Yeah, no, but I would say I think for hype-wise, conference-wise, to see preseason, Chris Fellini's preseason 1 and 2, have a great game this game, which Jock Talk's not expecting. He says Flames going to put it on. But if they have a great game this game, to see a rematch of the game in the championship at Williams Stadium, come on. That's
Yeah,
what
but
you
you know
want.
what I always
With
say?
that type of passing attack that Western Kentucky
Here's
has,
the
that'd be
problem,
fun.
because if Liberty wins on Tuesday, and it is Western Kentucky Liberty in the championship game, that makes me nervous. I would almost want Western
But you know what
Kentucky
else
to
too?
win this game.
You know what
and
else
then-
too?
What's that?
You imagine if Pavia
Diego
gets to come
Pavia
back,
comes
gets to
back.
come back
Oh.
like the
time.
swag.
Diego Pavia.
One more time at Liberty
Yeah,
University.
keep
Don't-
put
keep-
something around
that
the
would be a
logo.
good-
Keep him out of the indoor facility. yeah.
Oh boy.
We don't need that.
All right, last question.
Yep.
This comes from Dylan. If you were CUSA commissioner,
Chilling like Dylan.
how many schools do you want to get to in the conference, and what schools would you target?
Move to the ACC. I'm kidding.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I'm kidding.
There's been obviously a lot of chatter that they want to. They're adding Kennesaw State next year, right?
Yeah, that was
So
part. That was
that
part
will
of the
get you to
thing that
10.
your boy Chris talked about.
Vanini, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Vanini.
that'll get you to 10. The hard part is now NCAA is making it more difficult to make that move up. You're going to start having to pay like $5 million as a program to move
I will
up from
hold the
FCS
world
to FBS.
hostage for $1 million.
Yeah, right. So that could make it.
That's
I
awesome
don't know.
powers.
There have been some schools
Thanks.
kicked around. Missouri State, UMass, some of those have been kicked around before. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
if
the
there's a
thing
clear,
with
obvious
conference
choice.
is there's so much more. There's so much more change, right? That you can see this thing going 100 different directions.
yeah.
Like that is the storyline in the offseason is conference change. So what direction will it go? Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to think on that.
Yeah.
I really don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's
What
a
other
clear-cut
team-
one that
Who's
adds
the
a lot.
next? What's the next? Let's say Liberty goes undefeated through conference
Yeah.
and wins the conference championship.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the and I don't know the answer to this. What
one.
would you say would be a legitimate next conference step up from Conference USA?
I mean, I think you got to do it again. It's not. I mean, yes, you have to continue this for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah,
talking
right,
about in a
right.
year. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, hey, it's 3,
That's the hard
4,
part too, because
5 years down the road from
of
now.
the changing,
it's
landscape.
changing,
It's
that's right.
constantly changing. You would think like the American or the
Yeah,
Sun
the
Belt would be
American.
great in terms of like some regional stuff, but that's
Hey,
not
but
worked out
right
in the past.
now,
Yeah.
but right now, you only stay in the moment. Matt
Right.
Ward.
I'm living in win the day.
Emily, you only stay in the moment.
trying to win the
Just
day.
win the day.
It's called
We are
mindfulness.
all
My
on
feet are
Conference
firmly
USA.
planted right here.
All in on
CUSA.
it.
No limits on us.
What's their like?
Party.
No
motto?
limits on
No
us.
limits on us. Sorry,
Oh.
sorry. I thought you were just.
No, that was just
Yelling.
no. That's just.
Thanks so much for listening or watching. If you want to catch up on any former episodes, be sure to check out
Flame Central
wherever-
at liberty.edu for any mailbag questions.
Yes, Flame Central at liberty.edu. We'll catch you right back here. So things are going back to normal.
No, Wednesday podcast
yeah.
next week after the last Tuesday game. I think we're all looking forward to getting back to a normal schedule after that.
So be on the lookout next Wednesday
I really
for the
like
next
this.
episode.
I
Do you like the
really
midweek?
this. I love it.
Really?
I love it. So much
I'm not a huge
action.
fan.
Because then you got the games, you got your
Yeah,
pickleball day,
Okay,
right?
wow.
Then you got your Saturdays to watch all these other college
Yeah.
games.
It is nice Saturdays to watch
it's
the other
like,
games. But wait, doesn't it mess with Tuesday night mess with your pickleball league?
We just moved it.
He had to make it.
We moved it. He's moved it.
When he's the CEO, he can do whatever.
He can't be the CUSA commissioner because he's the Yacht Talk pickleball league, whatever.
So we just
All right, we'll see you right back here next Wednesday.